Man, we are live. We are live. Oh my goodness. It's my second show ever, and we're just trying to figure it out. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. Well, actually, let me put my mic on closer so you can hear me. I'm doing amazing. Great to
So
be here.
where are you located in the world here?
Yeah, I'm from the West Coast, the best coast, which is Los Angeles, California.
Okay, well, first of all, the West Coast is a great coast, but Los Angeles is not the best. San Clemente maybe, but not Los Angeles.
You've been to San Clemente?
Well, we're actually going there in 2 weeks for my birthday. I love it. I've been to every city on the California coast.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
how long you
Okay.
been in LA?
I've been here since 2007. I was born in the Philippines and then came here. Uh, yeah.
That's awesome. And what's your day job per se?
I have, wow. So that's a good question. I have two part-time jobs. One running a business plus a show podcast, if you will, and then taking care of my little sister. So
Okay.
that's my day job.
Okay. And where do you hope to hit? Because I think you're in Raise Masters, right?
Yes, I am. So
Mhm.
I hope to hit by 2026 to retire my family by 2026, especially my
Okay.
parents. But
Doing what?
doing real estate private equity stuff, buying apartments in Texas and partnering up with people.
What cities in Texas are your do you like the most?
Great question. So anything that's between the corridors of San Antonio and Austin, Texas.
Okay. You do understand that I'm from Houston and I lived in Austin and San Antonio for the last 15 years.
Yep.
So I tell everybody if you're going from South San Antonio to Sherman, Texas, past Dallas, and
Correct.
you invest on the 35 corridor, you're good to
Yep.
go.
I heard that too.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, if you need to meet anybody there, I'm happy to introduce you to all the players in the area. So, have you owned any investment properties yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you're just going to go right out of the gate for the big dogs, right?
Exactly.
Well, the good news is I'm about to launch a property management company in Texas. So
Wow.
there you
Okay.
go. So my partners manage 1,200 doors already. So
Wow.
so there you go. There's a connection. But this show,
hmm
is kind of my foray into talking about what I don't have I don't even know what the fuck I'm like. I just got like people don't understand that I got into crypto accidentally, uh,
Right.
like 7 months ago, and Adam was like, you should really meet these guys. You should so. I've been on shows for Crypto Writer. I've been on Adam's show. I've been on other things, and
Right.
so it's a very intriguing world for me. But what I think is the most intriguing part to me is that I realized one simple fact,
What is that?
and one simple fact is that it's about community,
It is.
regardless of any the mechanisms of everything is about um, letting people be who they want to do, learn, support each other, and create a decentralized way to do business, right?
Yep.
And what I think is the most funniest thing, because both of you and I are focused on um,
Real estate.
real estate, is that Zoom closings, it took like what are we in 1980, like now they're doing Zoom closings and they think the whole real estate world's changed. So I can only imagine what you think, kind of your personal opinion on like blockchain and stuff like that, and in the simplest form
Yeah.
for anybody that's listening, what would you consider the definition for blockchain is?
Uh, ownership in the individual is not necessarily by the government anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like we're seeing with Bitcoin now, we're seeing confidence coming in, and so that's kind of why it's racking up. In the fact that it is decentralized and owned by people for people, as opposed to having a representation of a bureaucracy or a government
Hmm.
controlling what the policies and regulations are. That's kind of what it is for me. And just like how we are confident with the stock, people are confident in themselves as a human being to be in this different different form of, I wouldn't say fiat, but currency, if you will.
Hmm.
That's
And,
why.
and and I think one of the things you're seeing, and I was just talking to Jimmy about this.
hmm
One of the things that you're seeing is that also fractional ownership.
Yeah.
Is my joke with everybody is like people are sick of their couch in 6 months. So like,
Yes.
why are you going to go spend like $1 million on a house that you're going to visit like maybe twice or 3 times? And so, as we start a short-term rental fund, and that's going to give everybody the opportunity to own multiple short-term rentals, but not actually have to approve for the loan, not actually have
Correct.
to. And so like, I feel like this, to me, if you were to just take this concept, I feel like that's the most powerful thing that's going to drive this thing forward over the next 10 years, regardless of where crypto is or blockchain or something. Like, it really, to me, that right there, that alone, you get in with like 10 investors and you each have a part of like 5 houses. Like, they're already doing this with syndications.
Correct.
But that to me sounds like the most powerful driver of where we're headed.
You raise a good point, actually, in regards to the fractional point, where you actually own the thing, the asset, with a certain percentage, and as opposed to you having to have that huge barrier of entry to own something like $1 million house, if you will. So I think that's definitely going to be a push.
Well, because on the back of our short-term rental fund, because I've done it for so long and teach people already and consult, is that we're going to bring education along with it. And you're going to be able to get on monthly calls with me for coaching and learn. So not only are you going to be able to invest it in properties, you're also going to be able to learn Airbnb in the same part of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's a huge part of like both of our industries, in NFTs, blockchain, or anything real estate, where it's really lacking in education for everyone that's out there that's trying to get in.
Yeah, and the moment is I've never seen, especially because I help a lot of younger kids too. Like, I've never seen this kind of level of thirst for learning, right? Like, I've ever like, there's no barriers anymore. There's free videos on YouTube. There's this, there's that. There's nothing anymore. And what we're seeing is like the skill money, like this skill thing is like so hardcore right now. And so how do you, at such a young age, how do you feed into yourself so much these days?
That's a great question. I started off really, really young. That's kind of why I'm in this real estate realm at 21 years old and started my own firm. So at 11 years old, I first skimmed Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Skimmed it, never read it, but I went on YouTube. That's the first thing I went to because I'm more of a visual learner. And I learned a lot about wholesaling, single family, lease options, and stuff like that, even getting up to like master leasing and apartment. And then I learned infinite banking. But all of that was because I was on YouTube. And it was a decentralized way of learning something from someone else. I think that was the first step for decentralizing or really democratizing education.
It's like what I'm noticing, especially because people work for me or like I'm coaching younger kids sometimes, is that and me too, I'm far less worried about the outcome than I am about like what I'm learning in the process or who I'm getting around, because like it really is about like options, right? Like, how do I become better at this? Okay, I'm going to learn it. One of my favorite people in the entire world is Alex Ramosi. And he says that what he did when he started businesses, he learned, he didn't learn so much or he didn't read so much as he would go into business, he would find a problem. And then when he had the problem, then he would either go find the mentor or the book to fix the problem.
Wow.
Instead of somebody else taking years and years to learn something, he would just go into business. Then once there's never not going to be problems. And so then you can find the specialized person, to do that. And I thought that was an amazing way to look at problems in business, because I can only teach you so much until in the moment.
Correct.
Like it really like action creates the fixing of the problems. Like, I think a lot of people shy away. My mentor just brought this up to me yesterday. I think a lot of people shy away from tension or problems, right? But yet tension or problem are actually what make you, or what makes the team grow, Me
personally, what led me to really grow in regards to the what you just said right now is I had a startup back in college where I was trying to solve this big problem of trying to run a car on seawater, because we're now running cars on gas and electricity. But it was an impossible big problem I've always wanted to solve since middle school. I was given $1,000 in grant, and I personally didn't know what to do. So I had mentors that were from the university, and I learned by doing. I think that's probably the most important part. And I knew I could take the risk, even though it was $1,000 that's not of my money, but I ended up probably costing like $2,000 out of my own pocket. But out of all that, I'm here to say that from all those experiences, it led me to a development of not only confidence in myself to talk and pitch like this, or even to have confidence to network and understand people. I think there's a huge learning curve to be going out there and just iterating and adapting, as opposed to just reading a book or listening.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're only going to get better by doing.
Exactly.
And it's I joke because I now just upgraded my whole setup. My AI webcam's coming in a week, and I got my camera and all these things, and I've already done 500 plus episodes of my podcast, right? And so it's like I was far less worried about like and one of the things I did is super important for me, because I just know my personality is I didn't look at the downloads for a year and a half on purpose. And then I accidentally saw them when I was trying to fix something, and now I'm okay with it. But like, it wasn't a concern to me, because that's not what like I was just, if I impacted one person, then we're good. And I heard something this morning. Ed Milet was talking to the author of Atomic Habits, and he said that everybody's worried about position in life, and what they need to be worried about is trajectory.
Wow.
If the graph's going to the right and everything's going this way, all you need is time.
Wow. Now that reminds me of a long gone Hall of Famer, Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality. I love basketball. That's kind of why I brought that up. But the Mamba mentality to care more about the journey as opposed to the destination. The dude, even when he wins championships, he's still grinding it out, realizing how important it is to care more for what he is doing in the moment, as opposed to the achievements past and the achievements in the future. So,
well, think about it this way. Your goals are still not a direct representation of your future. And the reason they are not is because your goals are only seen through the lens of your past self.
Yeah.
So if you show up in the moment as the highest and best version of you, you have no idea what might happen.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And so they can be a roadmap, but ultimately they don't tell the story. And so one of the things that I adopted is I win the day every day. That's my goal, 1%. And I just do that. And so I look at my life and I go, 20 years as an alcoholic, 20 years is not living the right way, 80 pounds overweight. Look what I've done in the 2.5 years I've been sober. What is this going to look like on a 20-year scale? It's going to be insane.
Tremendous.
But that's me having to catch myself as well, too.
Correct.
And say, okay, but at the end of the day, this is one of the reasons, like everybody asks me all the time, like, why the fuck do you have an NFT show? You don't even know what you're talking about. I go, that's not the point. The point is that you have to wade into deep waters sometimes to figure out what this all means, right? Because even the people that are at the top scale truly don't even know what it means per se in the bigger picture, because we don't know how far it's going to go, right? And so when a picture of a monkey, or whatever sells for a bunch of money, like I look at it in a different sense, right? And this is something that we've talked about on my friend's show that I go on. So my coaching is, via Zoom or walking in person, but people are generally able to share more when they're like in nature, like they hear the sounds or something. So what if we created a meta universe where my coaching is walking through different mountains around the world? And like, that's where we spend our time. Like, that would be really cool experience to like coach and walk with them side by side in the meta universe and stuff. So this is the stuff that gets me excited, right? And instead of having this business meeting on Zoom, we could have it on a meta universe golf course. Like,
and it's more interactive, as like naturally how we connect with other human beings. Yeah.
No, for sure. And do you ever find it where people tell you that you're too young? Do you ever run up against that when they say your dreams and goals are like too big for you? You need to like, take the steps. Because like I'm just curious.
Typically in the masterminds, no. Like age is not a limiting factor. For the most part, they would be sort of jealous or envious, well, not necessarily in a bad way, but basically, I wish I could have started earlier. That's like the quote that I get from them. But if it's like people that are not in my industry that don't understand and are more closed-minded, aren't really like growth mindset driven, they would typically say, "Hey, you're too young to start a business. You shouldn't be doing that," because that's what they're limited to in regards to their experience. But they see me posting a lot of this stuff in social media, having my online presence. Sometimes they do message me and message back and say, "Hey, I see you're growing. I wish I actually had done this when I was your age, took more risk at a young age and stuff like that." So I put like 80 to 90% of my net worth just to invest in myself, to understand what I actually want and to help retire my family. That's where I'm at now. So no regrets there, but yeah, it's a journey for sure.
No, and this is something that that it's super important is I'm just playing around with this because
Oh, no worries.
but yeah, this is my thing is that every moment
Yeah.
that you're wasting and I don't mean this, I'm not trying to like freak people out by this, but every moment that you're wasting as a young kid not
Right.
learning or investing
Yeah.
is minutes and hours that you're taking away from your future family.
Amen. That is so true.
Because
I'm
I
glad
have
that
met,
I'm
I
aligned.
meet 5 50-year-olds a week who would give up their right arm to have started investing earlier in themselves because they would already be hanging out with their family full time.
Let me tell you this. In middle school,
Mm-hmm.
this got me excited because this is a huge realization when I was 12 years old. All right. So I looked at a table and it basically said from 0 to 22, you're in development mode. Okay. You go to college, you finish college. Then 23 years old to like 64, you work your butt off.
Mm-hmm.
You have like a minimal amount of time, minimal amount of energy, and then minimal amount of money. Well, actually, those are fluctuations in the middle, right? But when you're 65, the currencies of like time, money, and energy, you have a lot of money, but no time and energy. So I was like, why don't I just shorten the 23-year-old to 64-year-old time frame that we typically see to then 5 years? So from
Mm-hmm.
21 till 26, at least when I would be 26, I'm busting my ass off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to live like how people typically do. And so,
No, and it's an opportunity. One of the things that I live by, and I mean it 100%. I got to introduce you to this guy. I'll do it today.
okay.
He's 24.
Okay.
I think he's gotten 800, 900 units already. And he started when he was 17. He's done some huge wholesales. I think they're going to be at like 1,500 units by the mid next year, commercial stuff.
What's the
And
name?
his name is Adrian Salazar. He's a good friend of mine. He's down in South Texas, McAllen
Okay.
and San Antonio. So I'll introduce you. But what's interesting is I think that he hasn't lived a life of too much context, so he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like, my joke with
Exactly.
everybody is like when you're young, all you have to do is fall from the couch to the floor. So
Yep.
it's really not that hard. And I
Yeah.
don't think people realize that you don't have the bills, you don't have the family, you don't have the thing, and you can take chances, you can take those risks,
Exactly.
and it's super powerful that way.
No, that holds true so much. Even though it's like stressful to say, hey, I actually put 90% of my money here. I don't see it any fruitful at all. And worst case scenario, I go bankrupt on personal or the business, whichever one's fine. But 7 years, then I could still restart. I have many years to
And
get back.
you're better for it. You're more
Exactly.
equipped, skill
And
set,
then
mind wise. Yeah.
considering that I also have a degree, which is useless until you actually apply it, I could then go back to a job that then will reset me later on. But that's, of course, just a fallback kind of safety net.
So how do you go about, you live in LA, You want to invest in Texas. How do you go about investing in a market that you don't even live in?
Great question. I would have partners that have either done the due diligence for me, and I would have to second those due diligence stuff in regards to what their market numbers are, or like their population growth, job growth, and stuff like that, from the data aggregator like CoStar, for example. And then to see if they have an actual track record of 20 plus years and experience, a verifiable experience of owning properties within that area. So essentially, my business model is to help them raise money as a private equity firm, and then do a fund of funds model.
Okay. Do you already have those partners? Or?
I don't have them yet. I'm looking to partner up with a lot of people in Raise Masters for sure, and I'm working with one of them as we speak.
Okay.
We're
And what are
still
y'all looking at doing?
Right now, I would be working as an investor relations, helping set up his systems for that. But he's currently raising for 5 or 6 deals currently.
So my dream is fund of a funds.
Really? Why don't you
Yes.
just hop on it instead of the short-term rental fund? Well, actually, technically,
No, because the short-term rental fund is helps my own personal business. I have multiple businesses, so if I showed you my empire thing, you'd be blown away. It covers many sectors, but for me, I already know every best syndicator in the country, and I don't want to care about the hotel or like finding the plumber, or like, so I just want to give them money because it's easy for me to raise money because I know everybody, right? So this is the first iteration in the fund, and then the next thing will be just a straight up fund to fund where we can give to hotels. This fund that we're doing, we can also give to other Airbnb operators to fund them. So there's a lot of opportunities. So we definitely need to talk because I need to, I know everybody. I know everybody in Texas. I know what we're doing, and the thing is like I want to go build my own stuff too, because I think it's super powerful to just control the process from start to finish. So I just think there's a lot of opportunities, and the thing with stuff like that is like it really is about getting the right people together and complementing each other's skills and kind of leaning on each other, and that's what people don't talk about, is like you don't have to do it all yourself.
It's tough to do it.
Do you know who Kevin Brenner is?
Kevin Brenner? No, I do not.
Okay, dude, what are you doing, bro? I gotta introduce you to some peeps. So Kevin is Invictus Capital.
Okay.
And he does a fund of a fund models, and he only gets money from real estate agents. And he's invested in like 10 deals already, and he's killing it. He just started it like 2 or 3 years ago. He's super amazing. He's actually doing a fund for rental arbitrage in the Airbnb space too in San Antonio.
Wow.
So I can introduce you to him. Super great guy, ex-military. And then I'm going to introduce you to, which I'm more excited about, is my buddy in LA, who's David Cohen. So I don't know these names. So David Cohen is the largest off-market apartment dealer in the West Coast. So his first deal he ever did as a broker was $60 million, and he's done up to $190 million. And he's the nicest dude in the world, and I'm sure he would love to have you at his office. Like, and he's just a wealth of knowledge. He works with like huge families. He works in Texas, works in Nashville, and
he's a broker. He's a broker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And he's an off-market broker for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. So there's opportunities, but it takes asking questions, right? And it takes getting in rooms that you shouldn't be in, and so on and so on like that. So it's super important to take those opportunities to show up, because you never know where that one relationship might meet, everything like that. And so you go ahead.
That is exactly what happened. I never knew I would be talking to Austin Linney, host of Raw as Fuck, talking about NFTs, and then we talk about real estate here. So Adam is definitely the connector between us for sure, and many other.
And I'd be interested to see when apartment complexes or syndications start going on the blockchain, right? Or start becoming a different form, right? Because now it's a traditional syndication model up from the beginning. but the network that we're using to invest in this short-term rental fund, people can invest $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000. So we put the property up on the thing, and they can be a part of it for a percentage. We can take, as big as investment as we want, but that's back to that fractional ownership part. And so because we can use this platform, somebody that has, $5,000 sitting in their bank account can create, a special place to be involved in something and learn from the inside out, and not just have to wait till they have 50,000, 100,000, something like that. So that's where I think these NFTs, these blockchain stuff is really going to change the narrative when it comes to what you can invest in.
Let me tell you about Bitcoin when I was 14.
Okay.
I discovered Bitcoin in 2012 when I was 12 years old, when I was doing this YouTube stuff. Not doing the YouTube, but listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube. And I had the opportunity to invest $1,000 at 14 years old, and Bitcoin was priced at 14 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Not a regret here, but definitely a lesson learned to make sure to pick up on it next time. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I'm picking up on real estate first. And then my show is called Startup by REI Show. It's the #1 real estate investing show for startup angel investors. Then I'll invest in startups later on.
Okay. So. And how'd you find that niche?
I found that niche because I was in the startup realm back in university. That was like 2 years ago. I had my own startup, had a community there that I was really, really involved in. I became a innovation and disruptive ambassador for my school. And so I was very well versed and connected there. And so I realized that startup angel investors are typically, not most, accredited investors that invest in startups, and they need to diversify into cash flowing real estate. And so that's why with my show, I'm trying to educate and democratize that educational barrier.
Mm-hmm. No, and I agree. And one of the things that I'm looking at is you have all these guys that got started in Bitcoin or crypto back in the day. They got all this money, and now they want to put it into hard assets. So one of the things I'm looking at for the fund is I want to have a fund just for crypto and Bitcoin guys, so they can diversify into hard assets.
Exactly.
So once we can figure that out, I feel like that's going to be a huge avenue for them because they're so busy with their other things, but they like to kind of hedge their bets and set up themselves for some longer term wealth with less volatility.
Yeah. Prior to discovering Hunter Thompson's Raise Masters, I was in the Black Card Mastermind group from IFS, Investment Fund Secrets, with Bridget Pennington. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I love his stuff.
Yeah, so that reminded me of creating funds in regards to specifically NFTs and stuff like that. So,
and where would you say, it sounds like you've been in Raise Masters and now you've been in Black Card. Like, when is it time to go get a deal done, man?
Dude, I've been trying this whole year.
What do you think's holding you back?
I think now I would say I'm on track to make a deal done within 6 months. The show is running. It has momentum now. It has some form of legs. I have partners or potential partners now that are more solid, and that's where deal flow is going to come in. And so bringing those two together is now just the problem, or like just the end piece for me. Mm-hmm. So by the end of this year, I hope to have 20 accredited startup angel investors in my list.
In your list, but I'm talking about the deal. But you gotta have a deal for them, right?
Yeah. So as far as like the deal form, I'm not as worried about that as much as I am, because I already have potential sponsors to partner up with.
And how big's the first fund gonna be?
So the guy that I'm working with now, he has 6 deals, and I mean, he's always looking for help for raising money. So I might help him in one to raise like $500K on the first one, just to get started.
Mm-hmm. And then
I think it's doable.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I think it's doable with my investor database for now. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you keep track of your investor database and your people? Is there a CRM or something like that?
Great question. So You know how a lot of people in syndication world especially uses Active Campaign typically, and they use Calendly for calendar. They use, I don't know, Pipedrive for their CRM typically, and then Syndication Pro is their thing. So for me, one whole system that includes ClickFunnels, Active Campaign, I wouldn't say MailChimp, but MailChimp, Calendly, and hosting your website, I use Kartra.
Okay.
But for that's also used as a CRM. But for like a syndication pro kind of thing, investor portal, I'm using a startup called Cashflow Portal by Perry Zhang.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because you know, it's interesting because these softwares lay, you know, we're doing a lot of because I have such a huge network. We're doing a lot of affiliate marketing. Where I even built an entire company for sales and affiliate marketing and stuff like that, right? And
Wow,
we just created it, and like it really, to me, it's like the software side of it is so interesting to me because you really have to keep your head on a swivel because you know every day there's something new and you know it's really you know, especially being in the short-term rental space, it's really alarming and crazy to me how far the technology's come in just a short amount of time. And I think that as we build up on it, it's only going to, you know, we have 67 rooms and 3 hotels right now that I oversee along with my other stuff. And it's wild to me because this PMS software integrates with everything, and then you can centrally locate it out through there, and then I can control the locks for every hotel room from my phone, and then you have Ring, so Ring cameras, so Ring can see everything. So it's like it really is a place where you know, I could run multiple hotels all from technology in one portal from one thing, and it's really making it a lot easier to scale once you kind of wrap your mind around the technology.
Yes, that's the power of not only technology but IoT itself. And then I wonder how that will evolve into blockchain itself, because there is ownership to be made in all the parts of like stuff too. So,
well, think about it this way: if you could start a place where you had fractional ownership of hotels,
right?
Like how cool! Like that's crazy to me. Like you never would have thought that was the case, right?
Right.
You know, and so it's one of those things where you just have to press and keep pressing and create the space where, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm not going to try this.
Correct.
You know, it's just it's crazy to me, right? It's like, you know, it's like, and we look at it and you go, okay, well, what's next? Like, what's what's the next thing? Okay, well, you know, then some, but something that's super interesting, and I want you to think about this. And as you're young, I'll give you this piece of advice. And me and Anthony, my buddy who owns a bunch of apartments, were talking about this.
Yeah.
The only issue I have with real estate investing is too many real estate people talking to real estate people.
Yes.
So if you're a syndicator or money raiser, don't go to real estate conferences, go to doctors' conferences.
Exactly. Those who have the money.
Yeah, those who have the money. Like the flippers are talking to the flippers. All the apartment syndicators are talking to the apartment syndicators. Like
that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the huge problem. So that's actually something that Hunter talks about in Raise Masters, and Adam too, to niche down and choose a specific, I wouldn't say specific target people, but essentially a dream 100 of who your clients are and where you're pulling money from. So mine is startup angel investors in tech that are investing in high risk, high reward startups that are accredited and want to diversify in real estate. Those are my listeners for my podcast. And I think that's very important that you brought that up.
Well, it's like, you know, I got that from Gary Vee. It's like, you know,
you're a Gary Vee fan too?
Yeah, like the successful doctor has a podcast about golf, right? He doesn't have a podcast about being a lawyer, right? Right, or the doctor, right? And so it's funny, right? I've done 50 episodes on my other podcast with my buddy who's a big apartment syndicator, and we joked yesterday that we've never once talked about real estate.
Wow.
You know, because like if you look at on the surface, like I don't need to know everything about blockchain to know that there's enough smart people talking about it So eventually it's going to materialize into something amazing. I don't need to have all the information about Bitcoin or crypto or NFTs to know that there's enough smart people in the space. So I'm just going to jump in the space, and then I'm going to thank myself for it years ago. I always tell this story. It's so funny. I got a coaching client who is an amazing human being. And when he invested in crypto like 7 years ago, he put like 100 grand in, and the next day, like, lost it all, like all of it. It went straight down. And he deleted the app, and he forgot about it. And then all of a sudden in the news, he saw it was like crazy at like 50, 60. And he was like, holy crap. And so what I tell everybody is I'm only invested in crypto for one reason. It's to teach me emotional stability. Because it's crazy. And if you listen to every news article, you listen to everybody, you're going to be in and out every 5 seconds. And that's not the point. Either you believe in it, and it's a long-term play, or it's not. There's no other way around it.
That's right.
Yeah. And so if that's the case, where do you think that people should be focused on when it comes to, starting a podcast, getting into crypto, getting into blockchain? Like, is there like credible places where you like to like look at stuff or read, or is it just about finding somebody that you trust and kind of learning from them?
One of my mentors told me this, and I followed this on through. Mind you, this was a doctor that I was getting this advice from. But essentially, he said, a doctor that is in business. But essentially, he said, find someone that has what you're true or what you want as a result, or find someone that already has done what you want, and then follow them through, and then try to figure out if you can stay in touch with them, ask them questions, or interview them if they can, and then go from there. I think just exposure in what you want to do is very important, and then they will help you guide the way in regards to finding out how to get started.
Yeah, it's a great point, because all they're saying is like, and the second thing on the back of that is stop trying to say, well, why would they help me? Well, that's not for you to determine, because they might have been helped when they were younger, right?
Exactly.
And so just add value to people, and I actually find it really fun that I don't know everything about all this space. Like I think it's kind of like actually intriguing to me and everybody asks me all the time, like, what's it going to do to real estate? Like, I don't know. Like, and I don't think anybody really knows. I think, I think the problem with real estate is that real estate is really stuck in, 30 years ago. It's driven by a lot of ego, by a lot of the way we used to do it. And so you're having technology and blockchain and crypto, like really, like let me tell you something, when you can take crypto out and physically invest in real estate straight up and without all the fees and everything, like that's going to literally just change the entire game. And when that day comes, like it's going to be awesome. And so, you can bet, you can hope, you can do all these things, and we don't really know. But just staying up with the trends and understanding is really gonna, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be crazy, because I think it's gonna give opportunity. I think you've already seen the barriers of entry lower and lower, and I think you're gonna see it even lower, even more.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the case. You brought up a point earlier in regards to like reaching out to people. It's fun, but initially as a young person, it was so hard just because, dang, I don't have that much to add value to this person. That was my initial mind block. But then, excuse me, I realized that they're humans too. They go through the same emotions, up and down, and they go through the same logic as I would as far as like daily activities, subconsciously and consciously. So it's like they've been there, done that kind of thing. And I'm assuming, well, you can't really assume, but they would want to help someone else if they're good people, especially for people that are starting off.
And what are your for anybody like angel investor out there, like the audience that listens to your thing, like I think that we assume that because they're very successful in said business that they know a bunch about everything. And what you find out the more you talk to people is people really, for the most part, stay in their lane.
Yeah.
And you could be a successful doctor or own businesses, but they might not know a lot about real estate. Is that what you find is the case?
They, for the most part, do stay in their lane, but for the people that are guests on my show, they are like 90% startups and then 10% real estate. But for the listeners, that's kind of what I want, right? I want them to understand that yes, they could run their own lane, but they should also look into other lanes that are beneficial to them in the long run. So right now, I mean, in a typical startup, and when they do invest, they look for exit, which is in two ways. One, the company gets bought out. Two, it gets IPO'd, initial public offering into the stock market. And then typically that takes like 10 years. And they invest in like 30 startups on average to have one unicorn that will pay off 100-fold or 1,000-fold. So the missing concept there for them, I believe, is like, where's the cash flow coming from monthly? And so that's where real estate comes in.
Yeah. No, I tell everybody I could quit everything I'm doing and spend my whole life studying one topic. How do you, as a multifamily investor, stay motivated when it takes so long in between deals?
Big why.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I hope that's why people are chasing it instead of chasing it for but these are big chunks, these startups, I find it fascinating, right? Because I've read a book called The Secrets of Sand Hill about a private equity firm. And he said that what we realize is that we're not betting on the product or the software, we're betting on the entrepreneur.
Yep.
And when we give him the support needed, then he shows up and he creates a winner. And they found out to be like way more successful that way. And I think that people need to look at it from that context.
No, I'm realizing that too, because like I try to go live every morning and evening for 5 minutes at least on Restream, so I could stream it to LinkedIn, Facebook. I know you use StreamYard here, so you have familiarity with it. And I do more personal development and reflections as opposed to me just doing business. This is why real estate is the best, because I realize that they invest in people, not necessarily the asset, as much as they are with like investing in development and character. So that's huge. That's a huge point.
Yeah, because all the people that are in business with me, they're not invested in like the thing we're actually doing. They're invested because they want to be in business with me.
Exactly.
And so when I realized that, it's like, okay, well then I just need to be the best leader, the best communicator, the best vision person, all these things, the best partner I can possibly be, and understand that it's not about me, it's about them. And man, that's changed my life for the better, for sure.
Yep. And I think part of it too is just becoming the best version of yourself. I learned this from a recent ex. Even though we parted ways, she still saw the best in me, and I saw the best in her, in whatever development that she has for her career as a hopeful doctor, and then me as an entrepreneur. So that was very, very important. Huge lesson this year for sure.
That's awesome. And so if people want to find your show, they want to see what you got going on, how would they hunt you down?
Yes, so you can search up www, there it is, .startupreishow.com, or you can just take out take out www and just do startupreishow.com, and then you can find me.
Dude, that's exciting, man, because my whole world right now is in business building. And I just mind mapped out my corporation, and dude, it gets me so excited. There's one of my guys that I follow a lot is Marcus Lemonis, and I love like vertical integration. So all my businesses serve each other. We got bookkeeping, we've got sales and marketing, we've got digital marketing, we've got business and consulting, M&A, and then real estate. And so it's really cool. And there's part of me that this is my legacy project, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take me 20, 30 years. Right. But I'm surrounded by the best people ever, and it's really cool to give them a space to work and figure it out. I see everything, but I also don't say everything, if that makes sense. You got to give them some space, but I see everything. but I also, give them the freedom to kind of figure it out on their own too. So
Awesome.
super excited. Well, dude, I can't thank you enough, my man, for coming on here, and super excited to finally get to meet you, and looking forward to seeing where this relationship goes.
You as well. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on this raw as fuck with Austin Linney.
You got it, guys. Everybody have a great day and a great Thanksgiving. Thank y'all for listening.
All right.